Hi, welcome along to Transfer Daily, and today we're taking a look at all the transfer rumours today, and I'll tell you what, there's some real crazy ones out there today. First of all, I've got to say, tonight's game against Besiktas, that game tonight is absolutely huge. It is the biggest game since the FA Cup final. Not only is that game going to determine whether or not we go into the next stage of the Champions League, but also it's going to determine who we sign this summer, what caliber of players we bring in. If we go through, once again, we can offer players Champions League football. If we go out, I mean, we're in the Europa League, remember, and you know that would be a disaster. The sort of targets we want to attract, their prices will go up because they will only want to come if we're willing to pay real top dollar, which we're already having to pay. And we've seen with clubs like Manchester United how much they've had to pay to try and attract Di Maria to come to the club, just how critical that can be. So it's an absolutely huge game tonight. We go into the game, of course, without our two main goal scorers. Olivier Giroud is out and Aaron Ramsey's out through suspension. So the game has just got a lot more trickier than it should have been as well. So it's a real tricky game tonight. I really do fancy us to win it, but it's going to be tricky, and it really will determine the signings that we get. Now let's take a look at the rumours today, and because of the striker crisis, and I call it a crisis because if Giroud, as some people are saying, may be out to even 2015, and it's just incredible again, injuries at Arsenal. I have to wonder if we're cursed or something. I mean, we've got Arteta, who's already out, like the main sort of defensive midfield player. He was out straight away. Now Giroud, it was the same thing at the start of last season. I remember Oxlade-Chamberlain after the first game out for nearly till the new year. I mean, it's just incredible. And again, injuries again hitting us hard. Now, if Giroud is going to be out for that length of time, we know that we're going to have to go out there and buy a striker, and a very good one at that, if not world class, a top striker to replace Olivier Giroud, because he's so important to the Arsenal team. Now, every striker you could possibly think of is starting to get linked with Arsenal, but of course the usual suspects are out there. And we're hearing today that the Daily Express are saying that Arsenal are ready in a £50 million bid for Edison Cavani. Now, listen, I'm sure every gooner out there is hoping that this is true. Again, it would be a very, very difficult deal to pull off, and a very, very expensive deal. And are Arsenal willing to splash the cash to bring in that sort of player? I mean, we've seen them splash the cash, fair enough, with Mesut Ozil and with Alexis Sanchez, but are they willing to go again with another bid of so much money? Because it will take a crazy bid to bring in Cavani, because PSG now in a position where they need that striker there because they've got a bit of problems themselves with Ibrahimovic missing. So that will cost a lot of money. We're also hearing today Falcao is available. Now, check this one out. He's available on loan for the season. That loan deal would cost £20 million. Could you believe that? And that doesn't even pay for all of his wages, right? And bonuses, etc. He's just on monumental money at Monaco, and that's one of the reasons why he moved there in the first place. Let's face it, he's on ridiculous money at Monaco. And to get him to go from Monaco and to come to Arsenal, again, just for a loan deal for the year, £20 million, and then at the end of that year, he'd go back. There is no way I could see Arsene Wenger making that sort of deal for a player, remember, that was out all last season. We know he's a world-class player, so you don't even know how he's going to recover. And then basically you bring him into Arsenal to spend a year recovering and finding back his form, and then at the end of that, Monaco say, thank you very much and bring him back. Just cannot see that happening whatsoever. The other ridiculous one I've been hearing today, now this is the most possibly, well, I think, no, not possibly, it is the most ridiculous transfer rumour of the summer relating to Arsenal, that Nikola Zigic of Birmingham City, you know him, the real tall geezer, right, is due to sign for Arsenal today. According to a paper in Serbia, they're reckoning that he's going to have a medical. And I think this is so ridiculous. Well, you know what? I'm hoping it's ridiculous because I keep remembering Kim Kallstrom and Park and deals like that. But that deal sounds totally ridiculous to me that Arsenal would move to sign Nikola Zigic. You can't even, get into the Birmingham team. I mean, that just is totally ridiculous. And then again, we've got the usual suspects being linked. Danny Welbeck is being linked again today, although after watching him last night, again, very quick player, but he's not a centre forward, and he didn't exactly pull up trees last night against the MK Dons. So I'm not sure. Plus, as well, Manchester United apparently do not want to sell him to one of their rivals. They don't want to sell him to Arsenal, and of course, there's also this is the one that seems to make the most sense for me. That Arsenal are in talks with Queen's Park Rangers about Loic Remy. Remy, who they were interested in at the start of the window, that they wanted to bring in, and for some reason they changed their mind. Apparently Arsenal in talks with QPR about Loic Remy. One thing's for sure, we need a striker. It's like the whole of our transfer business, which was going so well this summer. We've been decisive, we've bought in good players, they've all started off decently. And now, all of a sudden, with this injury to Giroud and the fact that we still haven't bought a holding midfielder, and then also the fact that Kostas Manolas, who we were going to bring in as the replacement to Thomas Vermaelen, has now signed for Roma, and he's chosen to go to Roma because Roma sold Mehdi Benatia to Bayern Munich and have replaced him immediately with Manolas. Apparently they offered Manolas regular first-team football week in, week out, something that Arsenal were not able to agree with him. Obviously they've got Mertesacker and Koscielny there, so he opted to go to Roma. So again, throwing Arsenal's transfer business into total disarray, really. Who are we going to sign now at the centre-back? I mean, who are we going to go for? Nastasic is still there, I suppose, from Manchester City. There's going to be more money. You've got Winston Reid, you've got Daniel Agger. Are we going to go in for one of those now? It's just, and then again, the holding midfielder position, we still haven't sorted that out. William Carvalho, we're being told today that he's been offered to Arsenal now at a knockdown price, that Sporting Lisbon are just desperate to get some money in for him because they're in financial difficulties. But who are we going to go for? Potentially, we need to make 3 big signings: centre-back, defensive midfielder, and now definitely a striker. And they're going to have to be good ones. And as I said, it depends on the result tonight. We've got to get through that game first. Missing 2 of our most prolific goal scorers. We've got to get through that. And then there's going to be a lot of bargaining to be done by Arsenal. And it's going to determine how well we come out of this transfer window, how will we got to make good signings, and targets are disappearing, or targets out there that we would love to bring in are just, too difficult to happen at this stage. So it's going to be a real hectic end to the transfer window, trust me. Let's get into a couple of your comments and see what you guys have been saying. Infocus says, I don't suppose we could bring Bentner back. You know what? At least we haven't got Bentner there, because if Bentner had been there, it'd probably be him playing. Arsene Wenger probably wouldn't have went out and got anybody. Suraj Singh says, Robbie, the 20 million for Falcao includes his wages and bonuses. That is not what I've been reading and on what I've heard. I've heard that it doesn't. It includes some of his wages and bonuses, but not all. Some of that will still be met by Monaco, and that just shows how much money, the sort of money that Falcao is on. He's on ridiculous money at the moment. Bradley George says Thomas Muller. Thomas Muller's already signed a new deal at Bayern Munich. He's not going to be going anywhere. Remember, he said that Manchester United were trying to sign him and he turned them down. Harry464646 says Falcao on loan would be great. It would be great, but the money, I just cannot see. To be honest, that doesn't make sense to me. If you're going to pay a loan deal of £20 million for the season, I think that's sorry, that is just ridiculous. And even if I was the the manager. I don't think I'd entertain that. That'd be crazy. Vladimir says Wenger is high with the Frenchman Sanogo. Listen, Sanogo is a decent player, but he's already starting to look like he's injury prone. He had a lot of injuries already this season, and we just cannot rely on Yaya Sanogo. He's not good enough yet. We all know that. Plus, with the injuries, we cannot rely on him. No way. Harrison says I'd pay 38 million for Edison Cavani and 50 million for Falcao, but they'd want more than 38 million. Ja Rule says 50 million, no thanks. And I think, you know, that would be the fee for Cavani. Again, you'd have to pay an inflated fee. That's the sort of money you're going to have to pay to move some of these players right now. Alexis Pendleton says, Robbie, do you think Wenger will sign a centre-back, CDM and a striker before deadline day? If so, who? Why are we always so unlucky with injuries? Who is your priority signing? What position? My priority signing's got to be that defensive midfielder. We've got to get in a defensive midfielder. Who Wenger's going to sign, I really don't know. Listen, you cannot second guess him. I've been saying it for weeks on weeks. But most definitely, we need a striker now. We definitely got to get a striker. I think Loic Remy will make sense. It won't be loads and loads of money. You'll be able to hit the ground running. He plays in the Premier League, and you know, when Giroud comes back, he wouldn't be a player that would stand completely in Giroud's way. He'd be a different type of striker to Giroud as well. So Loic Remy or maybe a Wilfred Boney, they seem to make more sense to me than the Cavani. The Cavanis and things like that, they sound brilliant, but they just seem like they're going to be so difficult to get over the line. Defensive player, we need a centre back. Winston Reid again. Premier League experience, will be able to hit the ground running from West Ham. Wouldn't be an easy deal to pull over the line because, you know, they're gonna want to keep him on. Nastasic maybe from Manchester City, good prospect, and as I said, defensive midfield. If Carvalho, you know, he looks a good player, why not? Why not move for him? You know, but we're gonna have to make these vital signings. You know. Harrison Everett says, I would like Reid for centre-back, Cavani and Carvalho. Yeah, a lot of people seem to be saying the sort of same thing. Andrew Spencer says, Robbie, why don't we just utilise Podolski rather than signing an excessively expensive striker? He's an amazing player, and then that Wenger does not appreciate. Well, apparently he's in the squad for tonight. He was training yesterday. Now, it's a massive game for Lucas Podolski because if he puts in a real top performance tonight, he could cement that position for himself. It may also mean that there will be no striker. We know what Arsene Wenger is like. He'll look on that game and he'll be like, yeah, we don't need a striker. We've got Podolski. I personally think even with Podolski, we're still going to need another striker. Thomas Vorel says, I'd rather a proper CDM and Loic Remy. Mirang is saying that Chambers has been the replacement at centre-back. We still need more. Joseph Peacock says, what about Adebayor? I don't think so. And you're just coming with loads and loads of names. Taylor Winter says we should bring in Kadira, and then we can worry about a striker. Then we can worry about a striker and a centre-back. The business done now, between now and the end of the window, it has to be good business. You know, we've got, to me, it's sort of gone from being a good transfer window to we've got a bit of problems at the moment. But it's all on this game tonight. Massive game. We're going to be down there. Don't forget to check us out after the game. Come and let us know what your opinions are. Fingers crossed that Arsenal will go out there, be dynamic from it. Listen, if we bring out a game and we're dynamic from the start, we should beat Besiktas. They really had their big chance last week. Ozil will be back. If we really, you know, put in the proper performance, we should win. But it's a slight worry because Olivier Giroud, who scores goals, is missing, and so is Aaron Ramsey. So other players are going to have to step up. But looking forward to that game tonight. We'll be back tomorrow with Transfer Daily, and we'll also discuss that game as well. But let's hope we get a massive victory tonight. It's going to be very important for our season going forward.